I stare at my phone screen, rereading the message as if the words might suddenly soften into something less hurtful. They don't. This year, it's just Melissa's family. Hope you understand. The sharp November sunlight streams through the floor-to-ceiling windows of my Boston condo, glinting off the crystal vase I splurged on last week. Outside, sailboats scatter across the harbor, their white sails gleaming against the dark blue water. Everything in this home speaks of achievement. The minimalist furniture in whites and grays, the original art pieces, the spotless surfaces. Yet none of it hides the hollow ache spreading through my chest. My thumb hovers over the screen. Dozens of replies form in my mind. Questions, protests, even pleas. In the end, I type a single word: enjoy. I set the phone carefully on the marble counter, pressing my palms against its cool surface. In the polished stone, my reflection looks composed, successful, and unaffected. Only the slight tremor in my hands tells another story. Just yesterday, I was at Williams-Sonoma, picking out personalized stockings for my nieces and nephews. A cashmere throw for Grandma Margaret. A rare bottle of scotch for Uncle Robert. Even a hand-carved cheese board for Aunt Linda and Uncle Jim, my parents, despite our strained ties. Last week, Grandma Margaret had called, her voice warm and loving. "You're still coming for Thanksgiving at your parents', right? I can't wait to see you, sweetheart." "Wouldn't miss it," I'd told her, smiling as I stirred cranberry chutney I'd been perfecting from her recipe. 3 test batches later, it was just right, tart, sweet, and spiced, ready for the family table. The phone rings, pulling me back. Derek's name flashes. "Brianna? Did you hear?" His tone mirrors my own disbelief. "About Thanksgiving?" "Just got the text." "It's not just you," Derek says tightly. "They've excluded nearly everyone, 18 of us, just for Melissa's family." I grip the phone. "What? Why?" "Aunt Linda and Uncle Jim only want Melissa's perfect family at their perfect table," he snaps. "Heaven forbid the rest of us show up." I close my eyes. This isn't only about this year. It's a lifetime of being second choice, the afterthought. Practical Christmas gifts for me, extravagant ones for Melissa, missed parent-teacher meetings for me, cleared schedules for her volleyball games. A pattern so constant I stopped letting myself feel the sting years ago. "You there?" Derek asks. "Yeah, just processing." "We might gather at Grandma's instead, but her place is too small," he explains. I step to the window, watching the autumn light shimmer across the harbor. From the outside, I look like someone unshaken, independent, successful, above family politics. Inside, the wounded girl in me wants to hide, to pretend it doesn't matter, but something shifts. The sunlight blinds me for a moment, and when it fades, my reflection shows more, my shoulders squared, my chin lifted. The hurt lingers, but with it rises something stronger. I scroll through my contacts until I find the number. "Chef Martin?" "It's Brianna Campbell." My voice steadies. "I'd like to host Thanksgiving dinner for 32 at my New Hampshire estate." There's surprise in his voice, but also respect. "That's quite an undertaking on short notice, Miss Campbell." "I'm aware," I say, glancing at the text still open on my screen. "But I think it's time for a new tradition, one where everyone belongs." As I hang up, calm washes over me. They've made their choice, excluding me without hesitation. Now I'm making mine, and I have a feeling they'll soon regret theirs. Later that evening, the Boston skyline shimmered beneath the fading November light as I unlocked the climate-controlled storage unit. Inside rested a decade of memories I had kept at a distance, preserved yet untouched, like relics from another lifetime. I pulled the string of the overhead light. The fluorescent bulb flickered twice before stabilizing, casting sharp shadows over cardboard boxes labeled in my neat handwriting: high school, college, family photos. My hand hovered above the final box. A part of me wanted to leave, return to my condo, and pretend the message never arrived. But the same instinct that made me call Chef Martin urged me forward. The cardboard flaps opened with a faint whisper of dust. On top lay the first album, its leather cover cracked with age. I sat cross-legged on the cold concrete floor, just as I used to as a child, and began flipping through the pages. Each photograph told the same story, Melissa at the center, glowing. My parents encircling her, while I remained slightly off to the side, as if the camera could never quite frame me. In several shots, part of my face or shoulder was cut off. "You moved at the wrong moment," my mother would always say. Eventually, I stopped asking. I turned to the Christmas 1995 series. Melissa beamed while unwrapping the deluxe art kit she had longed for. A few pages later, there was only one photo of me, holding a plain winter coat. My practiced smile tight. I remembered wishing for the telescope I had circled in catalogs for months, pretending the disappointment didn't sting. Further down, I uncovered my MIT acceptance letter, still in its original envelope, wrinkled but smoothed out. I recalled rushing into the kitchen that morning, letter in hand, interrupting my father's coffee. I got in, I announced, brimming with excitement. Admission to MIT's computer science program. My father barely looked up from his newspaper. Computer science? That's not a real career for a girl. My mother had squeezed my shoulder gently. We just worry about you, dear. Melissa's teaching degree will always be more practical. I traced the emblem, remembering how I had folded the letter back into its envelope, slipped it into my pocket, and walked to the park alone so they wouldn't see me cry. Next came pay stubs from the 3 jobs I juggled in college: cafeteria shifts in the morning, afternoons at the library, coding projects at night. My parents refused to help with tuition, saying money was tight. 6 months later, they refinanced the house to fund Melissa's lavish wedding. I found out when my father casually mentioned the new mortgage during a rare dinner call. Worth every penny, he said proudly. Every father dreams of giving his daughter the perfect day. I was their daughter, too. That truth still stings. Among faded notebooks was a wrinkled loan application from my sophomore year, a desperate attempt to cover costs when scholarships ran short. The loan officer had been apologetic. Without a stronger cosigner, I can't approve this. When I asked my parents, my mother only clicked her tongue. Borrowing is irresponsible, Brianna. Maybe take a semester off, work more hours. I never did take a semester off. I just kept working until exhaustion became routine. My phone buzzed. Grandma Margaret calling. I just heard, she said, her voice sharp with anger. Linda claims they're keeping Thanksgiving small this year. What she didn't say is they're cutting out half the family. It's fine, I replied automatically, a phrase worn smooth over the years. It is not fine, she snapped. They've treated you this way your whole life. I should have spoken sooner. Her words hit with unexpected force, validation I never thought I'd hear. I'm hosting instead, I told her, surprised by my steady tone. At the New Hampshire place. Everyone's welcome. The house you bought last year? The one they never visited, even when you invited them for Memorial Day? That's the one, her voice softened. I'll be there, sweetheart, and I'll make sure everyone knows you saved Thanksgiving. After we hung up, texts poured in. Derek was rallying cousins, aunts, and uncles. Everyone responded with excitement. Olivia, my assistant, had already arranged transport for older relatives. Chef Martin sent a menu proposal honoring tradition while adding refinement. I carefully repacked the memories, sealing the box with more care than necessary. Tomorrow, I'd head to New Hampshire to prepare. The next morning, the driveway curved through bare November maples, leading to the colonial revival estate. White columns stood tall against weathered brick, windows gleaming like watchful eyes. $6.2 million. The figure barely registered when I signed the papers. Just another investment. I never expected to live here. Alan, the caretaker, met me at the door, smiling. Good timing, Ms. Campbell. Forecast calls for snow next week. I've checked the generator twice. Thank you, Alan. We'll have about 30 guests for Thanksgiving. If surprised, he didn't show it. I'll make sure everything's ready. When should I prepare the rooms? I'll handle the guest rooms myself. Later, in the first bedroom, I laid fine cotton sheets on a 4-poster bed. For Grandma Margaret, plush pillows and dried lavender. For Uncle Robert and Aunt Sarah, handmade quilts from Vermont. For the children, baskets of toys and books chosen for each age. I unwrapped a package of 32 hand-calligraphed place cards. Running my finger over my name, I wondered where I would have been seated at my parents' table, probably at the far end, if at all. In the dining room, with its high ceilings and pond view, I imagined the table alive with laughter and conversation. A thought crept in. Am I doing this for love or revenge? Probably both. The idea troubled me less than it should. I placed my card at the head of the table. For a moment, I saw the room through my mother's eyes. Refined, elegant, understated. Let them see what their lesser daughter built. Let them wonder what else they overlooked. I checked my phone again. Mother's latest text glared on the screen. You're embarrassing the family with this spectacle. People are talking. The irony almost made me laugh. They excluded me without hesitation, yet now worried about appearances. I set the phone beside the carved place cards. Alan appeared in the doorway, his expression shadowed with concern. "Ms. Campbell," he said. "The weather service reports a storm moving in this afternoon." "How bad?" I ask while adjusting the place settings. Serious enough to be cautious. "I've checked the generator twice, but with over 30 people here..." He leaves the thought unfinished. I nod, making a note to place extra blankets in every room. "Thanks, Alan. Let's hope the storm passes." When he leaves, I open my social media despite knowing better. At the top of my feed, Melissa's post reads, "So grateful to celebrate with real family this year. True Thanksgiving. Family first." The comments are filled with heart emojis from her in-laws and neighborhood friends. None mention the 18 relatives now considered unworthy of joining. My voicemail icon blinks. My father's familiar, dismissive voice plays, "Brianna, your mother and I think you're overreacting. If you wanted to host your own dinner, you should have discussed it with us instead of..." I delete the message before he finishes. This from the same man who skipped my college graduation has no right to lecture me about communication. Minutes later, Derek calls, his tone tight. "You should know, they're reaching out to everyone." "Saying you're just trying to show off. Are people backing out?" I ask, fear tightening my chest. The opposite. Everyone's more determined. Grandma Margaret even told Aunt Linda to pound sand. The image of my 82-year-old grandmother saying that brings my first real smile in days. I drift into my office, fingertips brushing the mahogany desk. 5 years ago, my workspace was a cramped studio corner with just a laptop and coffee. I spent 16-hour days building Cybercore's security protocol, while investors, and even my own father, called it a waste of time. "The cybersecurity market is oversaturated," he'd said at Christmas dinner. "Find a real job before you end up broke." Then he'd proudly announce Melissa's promotion after just 3 months as an assistant manager at a department store. Everything shifted 3 years into my startup. At 2 a.m., a client system detected a costly intrusion attempt. My software blocked what every other security tool had missed. Within a week, we had 4 major contracts. Within a year, acquisition offers. The day I finalized the $420 million sale of Cybercore, I called my parents. My mother answered, spoke at length about Melissa's twins, and hung up before I could share the news. Now I live in a home worth more than their combined assets, preparing to welcome the very family they dismissed. Snowflakes drift down as my first guests arrive. Cousin Rachel and her husband pull up, children tumbling out with excitement. "Is this a castle?" 7-year-old Emma asks, eyes wide. "Just a big house," I say, kneeling despite my designer dress. More cars appear as snow thickens. Alan and his team guide elderly relatives up the steps, while Chef Martin oversees his staff in the kitchen. Soon the house is alive with laughter, voices, and the smell of rosemary and sage. While arranging flowers, I hear a stir at the door. Grandma Margaret enters, silver hair dusted with snow, cheeks flushed. "Your mother thinks I'm in bed with a headache," she declares, handing Alan her coat. "I'd rather be with people who understand family." She cups my face in her hands. "They've treated you this way since you were young." I should have spoken up long ago. Her words nearly undo me. For years, I thought no one noticed. Within an hour, the house bursts with life. Children race through halls, cousins bring side dishes, Derek organizes resting spots for the elderly. In the kitchen, Chef Martin balances tradition with creativity. When I thank him for accommodating the last-minute event, he simply replies, "Bringing joy through food is why I left New York." By afternoon, snow turns to a blizzard. The windows rattle as we gather around a 32-seat dining table, every chair filled. Uncle Robert rises for a toast when the lights flicker, then go out. "The generator will kick in," Alan calls. But silence follows. Instead of panic, someone hums Amazing Grace. Others join in. Flashlights glow. Grandma Margaret's trembling soprano carries above the group. Derek and his sons distribute candles, their light revealing something I've always sought: authentic connection. Not the polished image my parents curated, but something real, flawed, and beautiful. When the generator roars back after 20 minutes, part of me wishes it hadn't. In that darkness, we found what was missing at my parents' perfect table. Alan returns. "Power's out across the county. Your parents' area will be down for 8 hours. Are they okay?" I ask instinctively. They're fine. Their generator works. But it's just the 7 of them in that big house. Meanwhile, we've got 32 people here, warm and together. I glance at the faces around me. My parents thought excluding me was punishment. Instead, it gave me the drive to build something better. The lights shine on a family chosen in blood, filling my home with warmth no generator could provide. The next morning, winter sun streams through the estate's windows as I refill Grandma Margaret's coffee. Relatives linger over pastries, the blizzard gone, leaving a glittering white landscape. "Looks like you're popular today," she teases, eyes twinkling. I check my phone, dozens of notifications. At the top is a post from my nephew Tyler. "Look what an amazing Thanksgiving we had." I open it, breath-catching. Photos of last night, the table lit by candles, cousins laughing by the fireplace, the estate glowing against snowy darkness. "Did you see Tyler's post?" Cousin Rachel asks, descending with her phone. "It's going viral back home." I scroll through more. Derek's video of us singing. Aunt Elaine's photo of the dessert table featuring Chef Martin's tart. Rachel notices, "You're barely in any of them." I nod. I didn't need to be. The gathering speaks for itself. Just then my phone rings. Rachel glances at the screen, her brows lifting. "Melissa's husband," she whispers, stepping aside. I answer, moving toward the kitchen. "Hello, Robert." His voice sounds strained. "Yesterday seemed nice," I say simply. He clears his throat. I accidentally tagged your parents in a comment on Tyler's post." "Melissa's not happy," he adds. Realization hits me. I see. "Your mom called this morning, 5 times. He hesitates. People are starting to ask questions. After the call, I check my social media feed, and the issue is instantly obvious. Robert's well-meaning comment, "Wish we could have been there," tagged my parents, exposing their friends to the Thanksgiving gathering they didn't know about. Within hours, the posts spread beyond family. Neighbors react with surprise, while church members begin asking pointed questions. What makes things worse is a side-by-side image someone created. My lively feast of 32 guests contrasted with my parents' small table of 7, including Melissa's family. The difference is striking. One looks like true family, the other like an afterthought. "Your mother called me," Grandma Margaret says, stepping beside me by the window. She's very upset. "What did you say?" I ask. Her smile carries years of unspoken truths. I told her it was the first time the family felt whole in years. Notifications flood my phone. Uncle Robert calls it the best Thanksgiving ever. Cousins share messages of gratitude. Chef Martin posts professional photos praising me as hostess and tagging my company. Then someone innocently comments on the original post, "Why weren't Brianna's parents there?" The question hangs unanswered. By noon, my parents start calling. I let it go to voicemail 3 times, then finally answer. "How could you do this to us?" My mother demands, her voice shaking with anger. "Do what exactly?" I reply evenly, watching snowflakes drift outside. "Throw some extravagant party just to embarrass us?" "You're just showing off your wealth." A year ago, her words might have hurt. Now, I let the feeling pass without effect. "I only hosted because you told me I wasn't invited to yours. You know that wasn't—" She stops as my father interrupts in the background. "Put him on speaker," I suggest. After fumbling, his voice comes through. "Brianna, this has gotten out of control. Maybe we should talk in person." "We can," I answer. "But first I want to clear something up. At Melissa's birthday 2 months ago, I mentioned selling my company. No one asked anything. No one seemed to hear me. Silence stretches. I sold Cybercore for $420 million, Dad, but when I told you, no one paid attention." I hear his sharp intake of breath, followed by stammering. I didn't realize? I know," I say softly. "You never have." As I end the call, Derek enters with fresh coffee. "Everything okay?" I glance at my family still here. Those who stayed longer, helped clean without being asked, treated me and my home with respect. "Actually," I say with unexpected lightness, "I think it finally is. For the first time, I don't need my parents' table. I've built something better." The Sunday quiet is broken by the doorbell. I check my phone, no texts, no calls. Anxiety rises as I look through the peephole. My parents stand outside, my mother clutching a worn leather photo album like a shield. I consider pretending I'm not home, but that's the old me. The woman who sold her tech company for hundreds of millions doesn't hide. I open the door, standing tall. This is a surprise. We were in the neighborhood, my father says too brightly. Thought we'd stop by. Mother raises the album. Found some old photos I thought you'd like to see. Their casual tone feels rehearsed. Just 3 days after learning of my wealth online, they show up. The timing is clear. Come in, I say, stepping aside. They enter cautiously, eyes scanning everything. My mother runs a finger along the marble counter, while my father studies the Rothko on the dining wall. Quite a place you've got, he says. I ignore the bait and gesture to the living room. They sit on my white sofa, small against the backdrop of my success. Mother opens the photo album. Remember this? Your 8th birthday. She points at a picture of Melissa blowing out candles while I stand cropped at the edge. I remember, I say calmly. That was the year you forgot my birthday. Grandma Margaret made cupcakes instead. Her smile falters. That's not... It is, I cut in. I kept journals. I fetch a storage box labeled evidence. Not for this moment, but to remind myself I wasn't imagining the pattern. What is all this? My father asks. Documentation. I pull out my MIT acceptance letter. You skipped the ceremony for Melissa's volleyball tournament. Mother shifts uncomfortably. That was important to her career. I place down bank statements from college. I worked 3 jobs because you wouldn't co-sign my student loans. We couldn't afford more debt, Father insists. The same year you refinanced the house for Melissa's wedding, I reply evenly, not accusatory. Therapy taught me to keep it factual. They exchange silent looks, the practiced kind I've seen all my life. Brianna, my father leans forward. We should start fresh. The past is the past. We're family, my mother adds, reaching for my hand. I don't take it. Father clears his throat. We've been talking. We know you've done well. If you need financial guidance, I have a friend who works with wealthy clients. There it is, the real reason they're here. I already have a team of advisors. What I need isn't your approval, but your respect. Mother flushes. We've always respected you. I take out a small journal with a unicorn cover. August 12th, 1998. Mom said my science fair project was showing off. Melissa got a new dress instead. November 30th, 2001. Dad laughed when I said I wanted to code. Said computers were for boys. The silence weighs heavy with decades of small dismissals. My phone rings suddenly. Melissa's name lights up. Perfect timing. It's your sister, I say, answering on speaker. Hi, Melissa. Mom and Dad are here. Oh, they are? She asks, sounding uncertain. They brought photo albums, I reply. There's a pause. Then Melissa speaks, her voice shaky. Brianna, I need to tell you something. Since Thanksgiving, I've been thinking. I've always been jealous. You're smarter, braver, freer. Being the perfect daughter was just my way of hiding fear. Fear of losing? Mother gasps. What are you saying? Father demands. You know exactly, Melissa answers, gaining strength. You turned us against each other. I got praise for being compliant. Brianna got punished for being exceptional. The doorbell rings again. I already know who it is. I open the door to find Grandma Margaret, her silver hair neat, eyes sharp. I followed them, she says, stepping in. She stops when she sees my parents on the sofa, the evidence box between them. Good. At last, this discussion is happening. Mother? This doesn't concern you, my mother begins. I've watched this unfold for decades. And I won't remain silent anymore, Grandma responds, her voice steady with the authority of someone who chose her moment carefully. Whenever Brianna achieved something remarkable, you managed to undermine it. Whenever she needed support, you were nowhere to be found. Think carefully. We gave both our daughters everything, my father argues, standing. No. 3 voices respond at once. Mine, Grandma's, and Melissa's over the phone. I watch as my mother's carefully composed exterior begins to fracture. Her shoulders sag, and tears appear. Not the manipulative ones I'd seen before when she wanted something, but genuine tears. I didn't realize, she whispers. I didn't see. It's not yet an apology, but it's the first crack in the wall that stood between us all my life. I don't move to comfort her. That part of me is gone. Instead, I sit tall, surrounded by my support system, Grandma beside me and Melissa unexpectedly from afar. Now you do, I reply simply. What happens next is your decision. Snow drifts against the windows of my New Hampshire estate, turning the land into a winter scene. Christmas lights shimmer along the eaves, reflecting across the 40-acre property. Inside, 3 fireplaces burn warmly, and the scent of pine and cinnamon fills the air. A month has passed since Thanksgiving, a month of cautious texts, hesitant calls, and one emotional coffee with my sister. From the bay window, I see 2 cars pull into the circular drive. My parents emerge slowly from one. Melissa's family steps out of the other, her husband Tom corralling their 3 children as they rush toward the house. I tighten my grip on my coffee mug. They're here. When the doorbell rings, I answer it myself, instead of letting Alan do it. My mother stands holding a foil-covered dish, her eyes widening as she takes in the grand foyer with its high ceiling and sweeping staircase. "Welcome," I say, stepping aside. The children race past, squealing at the massive 15-foot Christmas tree dominating the great room. "We brought sweet potato casserole," Mom offers, holding the dish like a gesture of peace. I accept it with a smile that feels only slightly strained. Perfect. The kitchen's this way. The conversation begins awkwardly but gradually softens as everyone settles in. Children's laughter fills the once silent rooms, covering pauses with their innocent joy. Later, in the kitchen, I find myself alone with Mom as we arrange serving dishes. Without being asked, she rolls up her sleeves and helps organize appetizers, working beside me rather than directing. "Your home is beautiful," she says quietly. "I never really understood what you built for yourself." I look up and meet her gaze. "Thank you for coming." In the dining room, Chef Martin has prepared a remarkable setting. A long mahogany table shines beneath crystal chandeliers, each seat personalized. No one sits at the head. Its circular layout gives everyone equal place. Before sitting, Dad pauses, surveying the family. "Before we eat, I'd like to say something," he begins, clearing his throat. "To learning from our mistakes." Glasses lift in agreement. When I glance up, I notice Mom's hand resting gently on my shoulder, a touch so light it could vanish. After dinner, Melissa finds me near the Christmas tree, its lights casting soft colors across our faces. "Thank you," she whispers, "for giving the kids their whole family." My phone buzzes with a text from Derek. "Proud of you for giving them another chance." I smile, glancing around the room. Chef Martin chats with my uncles. Alan, once just the caretaker, now part of our family, helps Grandma with her dessert. Even the staff invited to join instead of working in the background mingle comfortably with relatives. When glasses rise for a final toast, Mom stands. Her voice wavers at first, but steadies. "To new beginnings and to our extraordinary daughter." Later, as snow falls gently outside, I watch from the doorway. Children sleep on laps, adults exchange stories, and laughter flows through the room. The truth warms me. Family isn't defined only by blood, but by those who truly value you. Being excluded from their table gave me the chance to create my own, one built on respect. Next Thanksgiving, I'll make it even larger. Everyone deserves a place.